But the result of this come back to what has been a question before. I just answered, I just in some way introduced this concept. In this system where everybody is continuously designing and redesigning their life, their experience, their identity, etc., etc., I see for the specialist designers, the ones that are designed by professional, trained, their tools, there are the two modalities that I said before. The modalities to be inside the community, inside the network of the designers, and the modalities is being a little bit outside and to try to do something to promote the design network and or the communities. Of course, given that everything is connected, in the reality the difference in between these two modalities is not so clear-cut. In the reality they blur. In reality you work with the community to find out a way to design a platform or to find out a way to design a bigger scenario, and vice versa. You can have designed a big scenario and this helps you when you work with the community. But given that in the reality everything blur, everything is more connected, I think that for clarity it's useful to imagine that there are these two modalities. When one is an immersive modality, so I am one of those. There is a community of people, I work with them, I am inside them. I have some specificity, but I am part of the group. The other one is, there is a group, there are designing network, there are communities, and I am a little bit upstairs, looking to what is happening and trying to see if there is something that I can do to help the process. And not now, but going on, and maybe in the future, there will be different tools and different occasion of work to do one and the other one. For instance, in our little experience, you have not to think that we have such a huge experience on that. Also for us, it's still at the beginning. But we have both experience of some of my younger colleagues that work with one of those creative communities to try to solve some problem, to create some scenario, little scenario, what they are doing, to generating an exhibition for this group. So they are really a kind of doctor working with their own patient and working in a really peer-to-peer relationship day by day. You are a designer, you have some capability, and you are part of the group. Sometimes you can also be paid. The other thing is all the tools that you can develop a little bit more top-down. And even, you understand, I stress the peer-to-peer, the bottom-up, etc., etc. We have not to think that even these cases could survive without some top-down interventions. Even in the discussion before, the government has to do something, some company has to do something, some agency has to do something. And so you can be in the group with the local authorities, in the group with some bigger company, and to imagine something that can be done to promote these kind of things. For instance, doing what we do, the research that I propose, are the research in the second modality. So we, developing a MUDE, we are paid by the European community to create a condition that hopefully will help many other communities to exist. So this is a modality top-down. So at the same time, to be able to make this job, we have had the necessity to be part of the system. In any case, not to make it too complicated, we are mainly dealing with bottom-up, grassroots initiative, but we have not to think that grassroots do not need for any top-down. The designer can be in both the modality. We can be part of the community, and there is a problem of who pays. It's not a little problem. It's a problem. If we don't talk only about voluntary action, if our modality of intervention would only be the first one, I will make the same kind of seminary, but saying on the door, this is for voluntary action for the students. And I will give courses, but courses simply to say who want to be also voluntary, maybe you can do like this. Because the community rarely can pay you, especially those ones. So if it was only this modality, you can do it, but the majority of the cases you do it because you like it. But there is the second one, so you can find somebody that could be interested by different several points of view, and we will discuss tomorrow, or I can offer you some example tomorrow. This is a little bit top-down, so somebody that decides what can be done. And you can do scenarios, you can develop a platform, you can develop with the policymaker some new governance tool, and all these kind of things that eventually could create a context that make more probable for the creative community or the diffuse social enterprise to exist and to reproduce. You know Linux. Why people participate in improving the Linux software? Why they do it? They do it in the modality A, because they are part of the game and so they do it for free, or they do it because somebody paid for them. So why people improve Linux? So the matter of fact is that in this moment there are thousands of people around the world that are apparently working for free to improve a software. Why are they doing it? That the one that work in Linux do it for a complexity of motivation that cannot be reduced at the normal white and black motivation. I do it for money or I do it voluntarily. It's done for a complexity of reasons. It's done because I develop a software because it could be helpful for me. So I'm developing a certain part of the software. I develop the software that can be used for my work. I do it because there is a reputation. If you do this work well, people know and you improve your reputation. And they do it because they hate Bill Gates. But it's not only this. It's a component of the motivation. So it's very interesting because Linux and all the open source initiative is one of the most advanced events that happened that express how the new models that are emerging break the rules of the black and white or the clear-cut divisions in between motivation, who is doing what, etc., etc. So every time, me too very often say there is A and B, there is this possibility and the other possibility. And in some way, we need to do it because to talk about things, you have to separate to be able to express, to explain, to better understand. But in the reality, it's much more integrated. So I think that if we can take the example of Linux and bring it in our case, it's not so strange, it's not so different. It's a network. In any case, there is a kind of blur in between who is doing what is not so clear. And the designer, if you want to work at the B level, you have to work at the A level. Because working at the A level, you learn. And maybe you show what you are able to do. And you make more probable to find some work at the B level. So I will not say that you have to be cynical and work in the community only to have reputation and to have the possibility to go to somebody else and say, look how good work I have done, so please give me some money. Each one will make its own calculation, but I mean, if you don't work at the A level, for this kind of work, most probably you cannot work at the B level. So doing something peer-to-peer is the precondition to have the possibility to transform this in a kind of real work at the B level. So it's useful to understand that it's different, but it's also useful to understand that in the reality, also in our specific experience, it is like this, that we have done both. And this is why, at the end, it's not true that I would say not for students that want to work, because this is also a possibility to find